On July 16th, we should celebrate cherries. Let's do it. Let's put cherries on the menu. Yes. Yes. Welcome back to Class Culture. Now, I have to control myself because I love living. And look, I do what I want. But the next, okay, so I've done the first half of the month. Now we're doing the second half of the month. And at the end of this month, I'll put the link to the calendar Webby I've been using. This is what you should do every day. Okay. Now, we're going to keep this to 30 minutes because in 30 minutes or 25 minutes or even 15 to 30 minutes, that's really all it should be. But I enjoy doing this. Okay. So, what is going to be my cherry story time? And thank you up until this point. Thank you, HUGz. Thank you, everybody that enjoys my channel. Thank you for finding something you hadn't seen before, something you can listen to, something you can vibe with, something you can learn from, something you can connect with, some information that will pay you. See, this information and these story times paid me throughout my whole life. Not to demonstrate, not to give it to somebody else, to give it to me, to feed me. I don't know how many cherries I've eaten over my lifetime. I just know after this episode, after work today, I'm going to go get me some fresh ones. That's what I'm talking about. So, what do we want to talk about today? Let me see. The first encounter I had with cherries was growing up on my street. We didn't have fruit trees in our backyard. We had flowers in a vegetable garden and some things that could pass as fruit, like tomatoes are a fruit. My mom loved rhubarb. She would make rhubarb and apple pies and whatever else she did with it. Sometimes she would, we had rhubarb. It's probably still growing out the ground over there. They don't even know what it is. But it was like mint. She had mint, she had rhubarb, she had corn, she had I think she had onions. I remember onions. She just threw it back there, did it, went back in the house. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing. It wasn't like DIY and pretty. I told her what she should have did is what I'm going to do. Is going to have container gardens because digging in the ground, that's a lot of work. And as you get older, you just can't do it no more. Sometimes she would just kick over the dirt because she couldn't bend over anymore, you know? But there are ways now, like you can have a whole garden on a table. You don't have to bend over at all, right? Anyway, we didn't have fruit trees. I remember getting fruit from other places. The grocery store, obviously. But some of our neighbors had fruit trees. The neighbor across the alley, look, alleys turned into something dangerous as I grew up, but alleys were back ways and ways you could connect with your neighbors and a shortcut to the main road, the main downtown, wherever you were going. But alleys were where, did I say that right? Was where, I don't know. You placed your garbage so the garbage man could come pick it up. Alleys were where you would put things where people could come pick them up. You never put like an old table you didn't want anymore in the front yard or the front lawn or in your driveway. Driveway was where you placed your car. Your front lawn was where you manicured and took care of your bushes and your grass and your you know, flowering, am I saying that right? Bushes and your trees and your little picket fence or your little wire fence or fence. I said fence, didn't I? Or wherever and whatever you put in your front lawn, you know, your flamingos, your gnomes are back in now, whatever you did. Okay. You didn't put things out there that were not pleasing to look at. That's why it was such a foreign concept to pick up trash and cycle things, you know, bins in the front. My mom was like, it's so ugly. No one wants to look at that. It should be in the back alley. Well, back alleys became a dangerous place. Back alleys is where people would go and hide and hurt and, you know, sell narcotics and body parts, you know, became as they were killing Black culture and as Black people were helping kill Black cultures, they enlisted in that type of activity. They weren't interested in planting a garden. They weren't interested in raising kids and letting them play freely in the back. They weren't interested in planting trees and you know, growing things and having barbecues. No, then it turned into, oh, we're doing bad things in the alley. Let's steal. So eventually, my mom had to bring my dad's old things from the garage where they were safely placed on her property in the back of her house, in her boundaries, you know, behind her fence. People would, she said, I would watch and see people crawl over the fence, just strangers. What are you supposed to do? You can't call the cop by the time they get there, they're gone. You can't shoot them because I'm not trying to go to jail. Back then, you wasn't about taking pictures because you had to pay for it to process, and then who you gonna show it? And no, nobody know who that is because they would go to somebody else's neighborhood. So she said she just got to the point where she would just tap the window and they would either leave or not. And if they didn't leave, she would show them the gun and then they finally left. And then they would try to gang up and bring more people where you buy more guns and you shoot bullets and you hit one or two. And who they gonna tell? Oh, that lady shot me because I was in her garage. I don't know how many people she picked off, but I know I got a couple. I sure did. Why? Because she taught me. Okay, but anyway, that's a story for another day. But I'm just saying. All the nice things that were in the backyards and all the pleasantries and all the things that the troops had worked for and the civil rights had gained, we couldn't even take advantage of because our own people were attacking our own people. Why? Because they trained them to do that. And it's even now today. But we don't put up with that. No, we just clap it back, tamp it down. Pew, pew. I don't care. I don't look. How many people got fruit trees? How many people eat fruit? How many people buy fruit? How many people maintain their body parts by eating well? How many people spend 5 days a week in a fast food joint? That is my bandana. I'm slapping because you can't hit a human, right? How many people actually feed their babies, children, good food? So here I am growing up as a little girl, as a preteen, what do they call them? Tweens? I don't know. Then into my teenagers, and then eventually I moved away, which she wasn't happy about, but she got it. And all these good memories I have. So when my mom would harvest her little garden, we either ate it or she would share it or barter. Now, the people down the street around the way had a cherry tree. That was my first experience. I knew what a cherry was. But looking at it like on the thumbnail on a tree, that was fascinating. It's beautiful. Now, there are neighborhoods in California where you see fruit laden tree, and I will knock on the door or I will leave a note. I'm gonna get them lemons. I'm sorry, there's so many of them just be hanging there. I'm like, oh my God, I know I'm not trying to steal, and I know they know, but I think they know that other people will come and pick them. And I, two or three, oh yes, ma'am, I will. Even at work, we would have, you know, employees, so because you didn't know who they were, would bring bags and bags of fruit from their fruit trees and just leave it in the break rooms, and it was an honor system. Or they would break it down in brown paper bags. I love brown paper bags, like 5 in a bag. So, and then it would be 10 bags. So 10 people who wanted them would just take them. That's why when we have Fridays or potluck day or birthday, people just give food. You don't even have to eat for 2 days because sometimes they got to put it away and you eat, nibble on it the next day if you're brave enough. Some of it is safe. Okay. Or what I do is like on the celebration day, we eat, we feast, and on that second break, you take your little extra lunch bag and your extra Ziplocs and put your stuff in your stuff and put your bag back in the refrigerator. We have a lunch bag refrigerator with no shelves. You know, we just pile up our stuff neatly. And then we have a refrigerator of stuff because we were like 1 and 2 is not, it's not happening. So we got a second refrigerator for just lunch bags. And we have a system of drinks because ain't nobody putting no half drunk, stale, no fizzed. Did I say drunk? Am I using that in the right way? Look, it's half full. Take it to your desk. Don't be putting it back, shoving it in the refrigerator, and then all of a sudden spill, right? And then who's going to clean it up? Especially if it's a man, he ain't going to clean it up. Yeah, I said it. And then we would have a table with fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, right? We had a coworker who had her husband was just into ducks and duck hunting. So every Thanksgiving, everybody got 2 ducks. It is what it is. Duck is an acquired taste, but it is what it is. They moved away to North Carolina, I do think. But as I was a little girl growing up and harvesting and bartering with our neighbors, when I saw that cherry tree, and I'm not sure the type of cherry, but that tree was, well, I was a little girl. So obviously, I don't know if you've ever gone back to your childhood home, but you go back in the room, you're like, oh my God, it's tiny. But when you're little, it's big, right? So that tree had to be at least about 10 feet tall. And when that tree was ready, it was ready. It was the cherries were just dripping off. And as I grew up and as I walked through the neighborhood, as I kept my eye on that tree, and the different neighbors would move in and out. I do remember um, Caucasian neighbors in the early 60s and the 70s. I think the last one moved out 75. And then 1976 happened. And then Conyon got elected black mayor. And y'all know the rest of the story. It only took them 10 years to take that away. I remember one man had a lawn so beautiful. It looked just, I think he worked on a golf course. It looked just like a golf course. We had a gardener. My mom had a gardener. I'm sure the man knew my dad, obviously. But we had a gardener. We had the guy who would bring the furnace. I remember the milkman. I remember the ice cream truck. I remember a whole fruit and vegetable cart that would come down the street. It was not horse drawn. But that would have been wonderful. Obviously, my mother remembers those days, those times. I remember a meat man, and then what happened? Markets started open. See, because that wasn't a thing. You were responsible for bringing your vegetables, your fruit, your meats. Some people didn't even have washing machines. Some of our neighbors had the old washing machines where you wrung the clothes in between those two rollers. I remember that. Some people didn't have appliances. Some people didn't have, they had outhouses. Really, honestly, 50s, 60s, 70s were like a transformation. Some people didn't have uh, color TVs. So my mother was always getting the newness, the nowness to go forward. So after a while, we wasn't into that bartering thing. After a while, all her kids grew up and went away. After a while, certain neighbors weren't around no more. After a while, it was just dangerous to be even outside. After a while, it was good my mom retired, but then she had to move out of that house because the neighborhood wasn't safe no more. But I always asked her, I said, Mom, you remember that cherry tree? She said, yeah, it's still there too. I said, really? She said, yeah. She said, nobody pays attention to it. Nature has taken it over. Unfortunately, if you don't maintain things, animals gonna come and feast off of it. Birds, rodents, owls, bats, whatever. We used to have bats too. I remember the bats flying around. But I said, oh, how sad. She was like, yeah, a lot of things in the neighborhood just fell apart. She couldn't even, when we would go back and visit, she never wanted to go back and visit. She said, all that work I put in, all that time, the whole neighborhood, or she said, I can't do it. I said, I don't blame you. I said, don't go. Because we would go, and eventually I stopped going because I was like, oh my God. No, ma'am. That's not my memory. That's not where our story dwells. You know what I mean? That was just a moment in time, a stepping stone forward. It's locked in our memory because that's the house my dad bought for his family. A black man, the third policeman in Detroit. I think it was the 13th precinct. I can never remember. But anyway, St. Cecilia Catholic Church, right? Everything was in walking distance. It was paradise. It was, we made it. I'm alive. So little black girls and little black boys in my Martin Luther King voice could live a happy American life. That's what had happened. I'm glad I have that. I'm glad I can tell those stories. I'm glad I have those memories. I'm glad I cannot relate to negativity. I'm glad I'm not depressed like some people are dealing with mental illness all day. I'm glad they don't understand a word I'm saying, hearts ago. I'm glad I don't have to explain anything because I guarantee you some of these people don't even eat fruit on a daily basis. I'm looking at the pile of fruit I'm about to eat today. Because people always ask me, hearts ago, what is your secret? What are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? First of all, put the crack pipe down. Stop. Liquor is recreation on Saturday, Friday, Saturday. You can slip in a Thursday night if you want to, just one. People get high all day, every day. People drink all day, every day. People lie all day, every day. People are depressed all day, every day. You all know me. I'm a whole different entity. Good. Oh, and I ain't explaining nothing. You know how much freedom it is to not to explain nothing to nobody for the rest of my life. Woo! I'm going to put my son's picture back up there this weekend because I feel like it. My daughter is beautiful, living her best life. You see what I'm saying? Stop it. I am not going to be on social media, hooked on social media. No, ma'am. I even moved some of my videos, y'all, because I'm like, ooh, we're going to do this holiday. We'll do these vacay days. I got vacay days for the next 4 months coming up, yeah. And I said, I'm just going to post. I'm just going to be the social media fabulousness that I am. And just post pictures, get in the routine of uploading shorts, uploading videos, using all my social medias. If I'm not on YouTube, I'm on Twitter. If I'm not on Twitter, right? Shout out to Malcolm X. I'm on IG. If I'm not on IG, I'm on Facebook because people crack me up. Where you been? Whenever you were sober, you could find me. I know it's difficult letting go of normal people. But if I'm not your thing, but let go. If I'm not sweet, if it ain't sweet for you, let's take the menu banner down. Because I put sweetness up there. Let me see. Yeah. If it's too sweet for you, walk on by. Bye. Yeah. If you can't relate to if I can't have a conversation, if I can't celebrate cherries today, how exciting. If I can't, now I'm not going to do this every month, but it's going to get to a point, hearts ago, I can look forward to the next 10 years. If this is all I ever do, right? And say next year I'm going to do August. The next year after that, I'm going to do September. Boom, boom, boom. You get it, right? I might even throw in a month just because I want to. Right? But if I cannot have a conversation about a cherry, citrus, health, wellness, memories, childhood, you're not my people. You're not my tribe. Now, do I like cherries in a pie? Yeah. I prefer like pecan, pumpkin. So my top pies, pecan, pumpkin / my mother's squash. Mhm. And number 3 would be apple pie. Cherry pie, not so much. I'll eat it. It's there. Okay, I did it. I'll buy one a year. But it's not my favorite. I prefer cherries raw in my hand, washed off raw in my hand, pits in a bowl, eating, slurping, juicy, watching something. That's what I don't need nothing else. A glass of water, and that's it. I think it's plum season now, and we're getting these weird looking oranges. I don't know what these oranges are. But yeah, I'm about to go. What is today? Monday in real time. And I'm going to catch up on my shows. It doesn't matter when I upload it. As long as I upload it. I knew because I had a gig. I was busy. I needed sleep. But yeah, who doesn't like cherries? You can get them. And I'm not using plastic that much in my refrigerator. I'm using glass jars. You can buy them. You can wash them. You put it in the glass jar. For some reason, hearts ago, they last better in my mind. Okay. But how do I eat cherries? I eat them raw like that. Now, I do like, the cocktail cherries, maraschino. Is that how you say it? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But those aren't really for eating. Be careful. Those are just for garnishing. And you can eat it after you're done. But really, honestly, it's heavily, heavily, heavily preserved. You Google it. It's just for show. It's cute. But no, you're not supposed to sit there and eat a bowl of those. That's not good. That's not good. I do like different types of cherries. right? I like the yellow ones. I like the red ones. I like frozen ones when it's not in season. Quoting fingers in air because anything can get trucked in and shipped in and, you know, flued in, right? What else do I love? I love the fragrance of cherries. Okay, we're in conclusion because I'm at my 30 minutes. Bath and Body Works does cherry like nobody. Like Tom Ford can bite me with his $500 perfumes. I'll smell it. I'll go to the counters. I'll indulge. I'll beg for a sample. Samples are life, y'all. Get into it. Shout out to my upcoming sample jar. Hit all my reminder buttons. Okay. But anyway, back to Bath and Body Works. Oh my God. Okay. I'm about to use up and indulge because I'm using all of my beautiful products that I've purchased for me. I'm about to use, it's called Black Cherry Merlot because I suspect next year they're going to come out with some newness. It didn't come out this summer. So I'm thinking they're going to wrap it around. It's going to pop up and I'm going to be ready for it because now it's time for me to use up what I have. It's called Black Cherry Merlot and I love it. Bath and Body Works has amazing cherry fragrance, but you got to be on top of it. I'm only really collecting fragrances and I'm using up all of my body lotions and my body creams, but I live for their cherries. Okay. So, in conclusion, eat them for your health, indulge in body care for your mental, right? Prepare them for holidays and pies and recipes and give them gifts for I don't know, tribe wiseness. Okay. Yeah, because you have to share. That's why I shared that story earlier. It was, you have, other humans are supposed to help other humans. Even in crises, even in our darkest days and histories and eras, we were helping each other. How we get there sometimes is questionable, but we're always still helping. We're always still striving. That's why I know there's a psyche issue in some African Americans because they think everybody of color were involved in the plantation system. Excuse me, there was a whole continent still running. Some people don't even know nothing about the United States. They don't care. They don't even need to be educated about it. They weren't caught. I said it. And kidnapped. So that's an illness. Africans grow their food like we should be doing. African harvest and farm. And if you're not doing it, find a farm to it's in the grapevine, ask around to go and consume and give them your dollars instead of Costco. Yeah, spend extra money on something that'll help somebody's whole family. We have a Black Chamber of Commerce here in the city. Find yours and say, hey, where are the Black farmers? You'll be like, oh, you didn't even know. And then you'll find the one that's at the farmer market selling their cherries, their potatoes, their vegetables, their citrus, their wellness. Yes. Don't walk in and say, "Oh, Costco got them $1 a bag. Why you charging $5 a bag? Are you okay?" That's when I remember that first cherry tree. That's what I remember. Community. Bartering, putting it in their pockets. On the one hand, you don't like the billionaires, but on the other hand, you're in Costco giving the billionaires your money. On the one hand, you got the black power fist high up in the air. And on the other hand, you have a knife tearing down your own culture, your own community. You got people on YouTube mad that I talk. And have a nice day, hearts of gold. See you in the next episode.